Hey everyone, and welcome to Conquer the Mirror Demon. My name is Tanja Andersen, the host on this amazing summit, and today we have amazing experts in a field that has been a challenge for me to face, and her name is Brooke Kikos. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I am too, and thank you for being here. So before we are sharing a little bit around the topic, what Brooke and we get to talk about is I will share a little bit about who she is. So why I picked Brooke is because when I saw her webpage, she is connected with her vulnerability. She's bold, she's brave. She really have a huge courage in really sharing who she is, who she was in the past, and really owning that and see it as a blessing and see that as a gift. So when I have a talk with her, and an amazing talk we had, she was really hitting some point where I feel they were so interesting, like what is trauma exactly, and what is the root cause in trauma, and also she hit some points around her own story around relationship, family, and also her own trauma. And I really I'm blessed by that, to really connect with this amazing expert, because she's brave enough to really be taking the gloves on and show you also the miss on who she is. So Brooke Kikos is a trauma recovery coach and an RTT therapist. I hope I said that word correct.
Yes, therapist. There you go. RTT therapist. Yep.
Exactly. And NLP. Oh my God, you get to serve me, my friends.
NLP practitioner.
Yeah, and a CEO of Life Coaching Goddess. Oh my God, Goddess. Yes, you are. So tell us a little bit details about who is Brooke Kikos.
Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction. I really appreciate it. That was so kind of you. So, I really wasn't in this space all of my life. I was in the beauty industry before, and I started my healing journey in 2017 because I didn't realize that I had actually been living traumatized. I didn't know I was in survival mode until I kind of got this awakening to say, okay, something's not right here. I came from a family we were generationally brought up in a cult. So it went back generations before. And so that's all we ever knew, right? And the cult was very highly demanding and controlling. And it was just a space where you were not allowed to use your critical thinking, and you were not allowed to look outside, right? So you couldn't really be in this space of knowing and becoming who you were supposed to be. And so I was raised in an abusive environment. I had an abusive father, which led me to be in an abusive relationship for 17 years. And so when I realized I needed to break free from the cult and the relationship in 2017, that's when I really began this healing journey. And there's so much more deeper to that, but I don't want to go into it because it takes too long, right? There's just so much there. But that's really where it led me to understand that once I did some of my own healing, that I had so much to offer other people, because I was really suffering from complex PTSD. I didn't realize that the emotional flashbacks and living in the fear that I was living in was really affecting me on so many levels, mentally and physically and emotionally. And so once I started to unravel a little bit of that, it was like, oh my gosh, light bulb moment. It's time for me to heal more deeply and recognize that I have this gift. I walked this path to be able to help others in this area, because it is a place of suffering and we don't have to suffer. So we can heal these parts of us and we can become this. So I left the beauty industry and I came into this, becoming the trauma recovery coach and this RTT therapist, so I could help people access the parts of themselves that are holding them back.
Amen. Amen. Mm-hmm. And the topic Brooke and we are talking about today is heal your mind, change your life. That is a deep, wonderful, and so needed topic. Brooke, you have shared a little bit about it. So let's go in the past around a moment that was in the past, because as you share, to a trauma, that is a big topic, and there's many time in our life that make that a trauma or make that pattern in a long time run. As you know, I've been addicted to self-harm for 30 plus years. So trauma is many things and can go over a long period of time. So that is a big topic to talk about.
Yes, it is a big topic, right? I think obviously complex PTSD is different than PTSD. Complex means that there's multiple traumas. And usually it comes from childhood. What happened in childhood, that's really usually the source of this. For myself, obviously being raised in an abusive environment, but also there was sexual abuse. So that really was the original trauma that started all of the other things that kind of compiled on them. And then I was seeking the abuse and not knowing any different, because subconsciously that's what was my familiar, right? My brain and my body only knew abuse, and it was chasing this love and this affection. And so, after years of, being in a domestic violence relationship, and being in this space of always in fear and like, okay, I have to make sure I walk on eggshells. I gotta take care of this partner of mine. I need to make sure that I'm just so, I have to be perfect. It became this space where I didn't ever know who I was, right? I think, and that's really what happens in trauma, right? We lose our identity, we lose our sense of self because we never got to be who we were supposed to be. And if you've been in a strict environment or you lived in this authoritarian household and an authoritarian religion, oh my gosh, you were never allowed to be who you needed to be or even find out who you were supposed to be. And that's where it compiled that trauma of like, I'm never going to be enough. I've got to be perfect to be accepted or loved. And it was like chasing this phantom that didn't exist, because being perfect doesn't exist. And it just, it exhausts every part of your being. And I'm sure you know a lot about that, right?
Yeah, it's just so interesting, like this. What is perfect exactly? What does perfect mean? When are you perfect exactly? And 100% I could really see myself in that. Like I really felt I was unloved, I was unwanted, like I was garbage if I choose to be messy, if I choose to show up without makeup, choose to show up without bra, like really do something else. I really believe my whole being, like the survival was like, you will die, so please take it on. And it was a big loneliness to be in that, like thriving or not thriving, like going after to be perfect. I did never hit the point, because there's always something I get to fix or destroy, so that I thought I could be perfect.
Exactly. No, I agree with that so much. I still find how perfectionism still shows up in my life. It shows up in my business at times. It still shows up in myself where, I think that when I walk into a room, I have to look just so and be perfect. And I realize that when you're like, I always have to have makeup on, right? Like, and if I don't, like, I'm not going to be accepted. I'm not beautiful. I think there is just so much to be said about that. And it's also recognizing that, we take on all these experiences and we hold all this trauma in our mind and in our body. And it's about being able to say, okay, what do I need to do so that I can actually thrive? Because I survived for so long. And I didn't even know that's what I was doing, right? Because you don't really recognize it. And that's why I say, like, if you heal your mind, you do change your life, because that's where it begins. Right? It begins unraveling the traumatic experiences that have kept you in this survival state, and recognizing it and being able to identify that you are more than what someone else told you or made you feel. You are more than what this belief system made you have to feel. Right? And I think that's what it really boils down to, right? I think a lot of times we take on these belief systems that are not even our own. And we don't get the choice, and we think we don't get the choice because someone says that we don't. And it's just about being able to say, okay, this doesn't resonate with me, but we've had our intuition just stifled for so long. But it's just being in this space today, right? If for the people that are listening, recognizing, okay, how are you being held back, right? What can you identify within your being that's keeping you stuck in an area of life that's keeping you unhappy, less joyful, like not really embracing authenticity, and just recognizing that, and then knowing how to go forward and getting the guidance and the help and the teacher that you need.
Oh, that is so important. Like, really choose a teacher, really choose a person as you broke that have faced it in your life, that are really going through it and knowing step by step, knowing the blueprint, knowing like the emotion, thought, actions that is connected to that. Because when I have really asked in the past people that have not faced that kind of challenge I did face, like being abused or being raped or hate someone, like really being like, I had PTSD, and some people say you never come out of it. Some people you say come out of it. It's very interesting game to play. And it's so critical to really ask a person that faced it with themselves. There you get it so deep, so specific, and the powerful interchange on a fast period of time with a person that have faced it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think there was a time in my life where I was like, I'm fine, I can handle it, I can do it all on my own. But that usually is linked to a child that had to face everything alone because they didn't have the emotional connection to the parents. The parents weren't there for them. The parents didn't give them that safe container, that safe space to express, right? And so I found that that was what was going on with me. And so it was like, I believed subconsciously, I don't need anybody's help. I can handle this. I can do this all on my own. But that's the first lie that you tell yourself,
No,
right?
my way, the highway.
Yes, exactly. That's the first lie you tell yourself. And I recognize that I needed so much support, and I've done that, right? Being the coach and the therapist myself, I have coaches and therapists around me constantly that are helping me to sift through the things that I need to sift through so that I can actually show up as like the highest version of myself, right? They can show me the things I can't see.
Yeah, just like me, I know it's so important to have someone that really can be your mirror into your blind spot, or blind spot in leadership, blind spot in relationship, like really every areas of life. It is so interesting. And also to really create like a deep understanding for yourself, like a really deep understanding for me to face. I have been in survival mode. I have been like addictions to self-harm. To be honest, this is first in this year I truly step into and face it for what it is with no judgments and choose to really put self-love and forgiveness myself. I have lived in survival mode. I have lived as a victim. I really thought I was stuffing my feelings down in the beginning of this year and just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Because I was so judgmental around, I've done the work so long time, and I have asked for support and so many people, like you, as I see, we get to be around a team of healer because we get to heal different kind of areas. And to you out there, honest, is so important to also learn to have grace with yourself. Sometimes it takes times for you to really get to the root cause of your trauma so that you can transform your life in the area where you really like holding yourself back, where it's not like a click yet.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely agree with you because it is about getting to that root cause, right? And that is really where it exists, is in our subconscious mind. The part of our brain holds all the stories, all the imprints of the past. And I didn't really recognize that until I started doing the work, that the brain has an amazing, beautiful capacity to hide things from us because its job really is to keep us safe, right? Its job is to hide things from us that make us feel uncomfortable. So that's a lot of the reasons why when a lot of trauma survivors come to me and they say, well, I don't really remember a lot about my childhood. I think my childhood was great. A lot of times they'll find that and we'll get into session, in a hypnosis session, and then they're going to trauma they didn't even remember. They're going into deeper things that they had no idea existed, but it's always existed. It's always been there. And it's actually been driving their behaviors. It's actually been driving their emotional states, their reactions, right? And so being able to recognize that this is how we get to the deeper parts of ourselves, because even though our brain feels like it's doing us a great service, which in a lot of ways it is, right? Because at the time the trauma happened, we couldn't process it. Maybe we were too young. Maybe we didn't even know what to think of this, right?
Oh.
And then other times it's like our brain also is like, this is so overwhelming. Like if you had to actually think about this or deal with this trauma, you probably want to die because it's so painful, right? And so it's amazing how the brain does protect us, right? And this mechanism, but at the same time, I found and noticed, which you probably did too, it was also driving the way I was surviving and driving the way that I was reacting. And I just didn't know it.
No,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's so true. Like for me to shift to really see I've this like surviving mode, this like I've been a victim. Like victim was one of my hugest nerds, and also self-harm to myself, like the 7 hours of life, the 7 different kind of violence. For me to shift to let go of something, my whole body was just like, who am I? Who am I if I choose to step out of it? Because that has been my identity, to live in that like fake it till you make it, beautiful face, not showing things. I was like, who am I if I choose to let go of the whole package and step into who do I choose to be? Who do I choose to create of a new person I like taken in my whole being?
Yeah, I love that. When you said I fake it till I make it. I remember I did that basically almost half of my life
Oh my God.
because I had to. And also the religion kind of takes you into a space where it's like you take on this persona of I have to create this perfect, like I'm a perfect student of God. I'm a perfect individual. I'm doing exactly as I'm told. And that's what it's really, you're exactly told to do that. And so I had created these personas of, pretending like, oh, I am the perfect good girl, right? I'm doing all that I'm supposed to do. I'm doing all that I have to do. And I just found that, wow, now I'm like, okay, I have had to shed some of that conditioning because it doesn't serve me.
It is so interesting game, like this, like figure it to make us we talk about, like where does that come from, and like how do you heal your mind to choose something different in it, and so also really heal your past, because to come to the point I am now with my mess, and I still make a mess, I still choose to be messy, I choose still to make mistake and look at it as a wisdom, because I'm not who I am for 5 minutes ago. It's like, who do I choose to be now, because I'm not that girl for 5 minutes ago. And yeah, how do you really step into that where you really can say, I chose my past and I own it, because everything is a choice.
Yeah, I think, when I first started this, which is a good thing you bring that up, because I think a lot of times we want to stay in that victim mindset where we're like, well, I didn't choose this life. Why did I get abused? Why did I get sexually abused? Why did I, get this relationship? You have to shift out of that. Okay. Yeah. At some point, yes. Were you a little bit of the victim? You also made choices, right? And for myself, I also made choices to stay in a relationship where I was being harmed, right?
Yeah.
I could have made different choices, right? I saw through some of those choices sometimes, but I just didn't believe in myself. I didn't love myself enough to say, right? And I think everything in life is a lesson. I think every relationship is a teacher.
Yeah.
And I think, what it taught me about myself is that, what, I could be strong. I didn't have to stay weak. I could come into this space and own who I really authentically was supposed to be. And so I think it's just about saying, okay, looking at your life and saying, okay, what doesn't serve me anymore? What is not an alignment for me anymore? Who do I actually really want to be? And then you just start like getting rid of all the old ways of being, right? And shedding those and being okay with shedding those. And then really stepping into like, okay, this actually feels good to me. Like this, and exploring, like, when we're in survival, like we're very rigid. Like we don't have an open mind. We only see things very, very narrow-minded because our brain is only allowing us to focus on that. And so when you can look big picture and you can step out in the world and say, okay, I'm ready to be curious. I'm ready to be understanding myself and seeing, learning and seeing what resonates with me and what doesn't. So I'll get rid of what doesn't. And I think that's really what life is about. right? I feel like life is about just exploring and experimenting what works for you, and then not judging someone else because that's what they're doing, right? When we think we're superior than someone else, then that's our ego just coming and stepping into play and saying that we're superior when we're really not. We are all the same, right? We're all the same. And it's just, we're on this journey. We're just experiencing life. And then just worry about you. Worry only about yourself and being the best version of a human that you can. And I think that's why we're in this era of all these healers stepping in and having these spiritual awakenings and recognizing all the old things that do not longer exist, that need to exist in this reality that we live in.
So beautiful. This thing we also shared about Brooke was like how it is possible, because when people is in trauma, when people is in this pain, suffering, their own darkness, and have a challenge to really face themselves for what it is with no judgments, how do they turn that pain into a purpose?
So, it's sometimes really hard, right? If you have a lot of pain and suffering, it's difficult to see outside of that and how you could actually take this pain and use it for good. And that's what I say, when we can get out of the victim place and we can say, I can take all of this pain and I can use it somehow for good, is when we really get in alignment with what our purpose is here. We really, we walked this path, we had these stories, right? Why can't we create something beautiful with them, right? You see it all the time. And I think that's why it's like identifying, okay, what pulls me? Where does my heart lead me, right? Like, where is my heart saying, oh, I don't want someone to suffer, right? And when I think about this, I say, I do not want someone to suffer with complex PTSD the way that I did. I do not want someone to suffer from sexual abuse the way that I have, right? I want them to be able to empower them, find their true authentic self, and let the past be the past so that they can really embrace a better future. So that's what drives me. That's what, keeps me going, is making sure no one else suffers.
Oh my God, I love that. As I see it also to the audience out there, is like, if it's like the challenge you're facing right now is for you, and your brain is not open up for new things if you don't have the resource right now, because that is also part of surviving mode. The brain is not open up for new insight, wisdom, labels, judgments, stories you have chosen to give to yourself if you do not have the resource in this point to face it, to heal your mind, and really create a strong purpose around your past and pass it on to other people that is in your where you was in the past.
Yes, exactly. And I think everybody has a story to tell. I think everybody has a purpose here on this earth. And if you don't feel in alignment with that purpose, and you're tired and you're exhausted and you feel like every time you get up, you're unhappy and you're unfulfilled, dig deeper.
Oh my God, yeah. I like to dig very deep. Sometimes too deep, so like I get to call someone, can you please put the letter down and circle it together?
Yeah, right? Because it can be a lot, but it's like once you start to dig deeper, and then you just find, okay, I'm shedding that. That's not me anymore. And you find that purpose.
Oh my God, so powerful. So, Brooke, I know you have amazing free gift to the dear audience that is watching. Tell us a little bit about what that free gift is.
Yeah, so the free gift is just an ebook that I created. It's called How to Thrive with Healthy Boundaries. And I think, coming from a family that didn't have any boundaries, wasn't taught any boundaries, and we had no boundaries in the religion that we were in, I did not even know what boundaries were. So this ebook is really for helping people to start to just like kind of, skim, okay, where are my boundaries? How am I helping myself with my self-confidence and setting these boundaries? Because it's going to make you a more emotional, stable person. So this is why I wrote this, and I want people to be able to start to identify that for themselves.
Oh my God. And that is so critical to really know your boundaries, so that you receive healthy relationship with yourself, others, because what you choose to give to yourself, you will also receive that for others. So boundaries is very critical also for you to really be a whole person with everything you are.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Is it putting boundaries, like learn to set boundaries, learn first of all, what is your boundaries and where do you come from, is also so critical to also figure out like, who are you as a person? For me to find out where my boundaries is, I learned that also to owning my power and owning my worth as a being.
Yes, exactly. I completely agree with that, because when we don't value ourselves, or we don't think that we deserve to have boundaries or ask for what we want or what we need or create this like safety space for ourselves, it comes down to the fact that someone told us that we weren't allowed to, or that someone made us feel like we don't deserve something, or that we're not enough. And so just identifying that and recognizing it, and then being able to be in connection with saying, you know what, I am worthy to have what I want and what I need. And it doesn't come from an egotistical place. It just is about safety for yourself, right? Creating this safe container so that you can thrive rather than feel depleted.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to your 20 years old you with the wisdom you have today?
Oh, yeah, that's a deep one. You know, if I could go back 20 years, it would, I would say, look around you and see what doesn't work anymore. Yeah. Look around you and identify, how you can actually feel good about yourself, instead of chasing after someone else to love you. Just love yourself.
So beautiful. Thank you. And also to your dear audience, how do you get access to this free gift Brooke have to really pass on to you? Is go below this video, there's a link, or go back in your newsletter. There is all the details you get to know about who this amazing lady is and her work, and also the link to her free gift. So Brooke and I really invite you to go there right now after you have seen this interview, and click on the link, because it's so important and critical you choose to take actions on the wisdom, on the aha you're creating, because you are worth it and you need to step forward so that you really heal yourself. With that, Brooke, what is your last words to our dear audience that is watching this interview?
I would just say, heal your mind and change your life. Yeah.
Amen.
Step into that. Yeah. Step into that piece and you will not regret it.
100%, you will not. So thank you so much, dear audience, for watching Brooke and I in this amazing interview where the topic was heal your mind, change your life, with the last word there. And Brooke, thank you so much for bottom of my heart. I could feel sometimes in this interview, I don't know if you saw my face, like I was just like, come like, don't like, take a deep breath. Like you hit some point in me where I was like, I feel emotional right now on a so beautiful, soft, floaty, soft way around how you share, because how you're sharing your wisdom, who you're being, is so simple and it makes sense. And when you share that, it creates also healing for me to listen to you on, okay, that's why I did what I did, that's why I choose that, and really give me a voice into why I choose as I do. So thank you so much for bottom of my heart, for you to be who you are, for what you work with, and also for you to really sharing your past. That is the biggest honor I could hear and be a part of. So thank you so much for being a part of this summit.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. That was such a beautiful speech there on me, what I did. So I appreciate that so much. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. And to you, the audience, and to Brooke, everyone that wasn't, thank you so much for watching. And we wish you the most beautiful, amazing day, and see you soon again. Bye, everyone.